Real talk, real impact, unfiltered and unapologetic. This is FemmeIcon.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. This is Mahvish Akhtar with another episode of FemmeIcon. And today we are talking about how to handle disappointment, especially modern disappointment. We will talk about how to just handle disappointment and how to deal with just the everyday things. But we will also talk about the today and the things that are happening that we're facing these days and how to handle that. So let's wait for a few more people to join before we get started. While we are waiting for... Sorry, I just dropped water all over myself and my my notebook here, so I'm just kind of trying to dry it off. And let me know if you guys can hear me okay, because I want to... So yeah, in the meantime, tell me how you guys handle disappointment. What are there any techniques that you guys have, any particular things that you guys do, or is it just, what happens, just move on? Because some of us don't even think about it, right? Because all of us come from a place of stigma, come from a background of, our lives, our baggages, what we've been taught, how we've grown up. All of that plays a huge role in how we deal with our disappointments, and how, first of all, we think of a failure, and how we think of any event in our life. First of all, how we think of achievement altogether. What does achievement mean to us? What is achieving and what is failing? What is the definition of all that, right? So we're going to talk about disappointment, not in terms of... First, we're not going to talk about... we're not going to start off talking about failure and achievement in terms of personal achievement and failure. We're going to start off talking about it in terms of just in general, what disappointment is and how one can handle it in the scope of the big picture that our life is. So the first thing that I would say, and that will probably keep coming up again and again during this whole episode, I would say, is to manage expectation. It's to remember that things will never ever turn out the way you want them to. They will never ever turn out the way you are expecting them to. So always keep that in mind. And that's not always a bad thing. That's not always a bad thing, right? That's not always a negative thing. That's not always something not right with the world, not right with, with you. That things are not coming onto your expectations. Because again, you're coming with your baggage. You're coming with what you've learned about the world, right? So that's going to matter. That's going to matter a lot. So what you are imagining, what you have, what goal you have, you are going towards it. You're trying to achieve it. You're going towards it, right? So if you are going towards it and you're trying to achieve it, you have something set in your mind, and it's great. It's great to have something set in your mind. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But also remember that the world is not exactly as you see it. That's a very important thing to keep in your mind. The world that's in your mind is not exactly, the world isn't exactly the way you see it. So it's going to become that what happens exactly is what you achieve is going to be below your expectations. Always. So manage your expectations. Not go what's going on here? So somebody just I have no idea what this person is saying. It's obviously inappropriate. So I'm gonna have to ask someone to let me just ask someone to take care of this real quick. And then we'll continue. See, this is the problem. I'm going to get off topic for just a minute. This is a problem with our world, with women coming forward and doing these kinds of things and trying to be in the limelight. That there are so many people like this. He's probably a young boy, and it's really sad. You know, he's probably just as old as my nephews, and and if he's older, then it's sad, because then he's as old as my brothers and my uncles, and what age could he be that this is appropriate? And it's extremely sad to see these people do these kinds of things and embarrass themselves. If in any way he's trying to embarrass me, that's not working for him. And if he's trying to embarrass himself, he's succeeded, because I don't easily get embarrassed. These kinds of things, I've seen it all, I've done it all. I'm almost 50. You think this is going to harm anything? What does he achieve by this? He's getting talked about, and he's just embarrassed himself. I should have ignored it, but this is a moment of clarity here. You know, this is something actually to talk about. This is how women get harassed everywhere we go, in every line of work, in everything that we're doing. We are exposed in terms of just being, you know, out there, not even exposed in some kind of a, you know, any kind of inappropriate way. We're just out there, and these kinds of things happen. I can't even, and I know the women here would vouch for this, that I can't even explain to you how many inappropriate messages I get every time there's a video I put out. And it's just like, you guys have nothing better to do? That's how sexually frustrated you guys are? Go get married. I don't understand. Like, what is wrong with our society? What is wrong with the men in this culture? And I know this happens elsewhere too, but I'm talking about this society because we're living here. And this has become a teachable moment. And the teacher in me has come out, because this is absolutely ridiculous, that this is something that is, you know, that is happening. And quite sad, actually. And we wanted to open this to the men. We want our men to be here. We want them to also, you know, take advantage of this and learn from this. But this behavior, it's not going to, you know, we're not going to pull away. This is not going to stop us. But this behavior is going to have to somehow, you're also going to have to learn, the men of this society are also going to have to learn that this can't continue. If you want to be allies, if we're going to come forward, then you're going to have to stop. And I guess we are going to be the one to teach you how to stop and how to accept us into this society, doing the things that we need to do without you acting like animals, literal animals. Sorry, off topic. Back to the main topic that we're at. again, I guess managing expectations from a certain group, that's also part of the game, right? I mean, we know that women come out in certain arenas and these things are going to happen. So yeah, managing expectations. All right. So back to the point is that the first thing we have to do, and this is going to come up again and again, that we have to manage expectations. Nothing is going to turn out as we want it to. Everything is going to be, let me just see. All right. We're going to understand that things are always going to be according to circumstances, according to the society we're in, according to our own world, according to, our abilities. All of those things are going to count. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. And then we have to understand and validate our disappointment. We can't avoid it or brush it, under the rug or anything else of that sort. So we have to understand that these kinds of disappointments, it's very tempting to ignore and just kind of say, it wasn't a big deal. Even that kind of attitude. Or if you are with somebody who's going through something difficult or somebody who has faced a big disappointment, don't let them kind of minimize it or just kind of say, it's okay. Avoid or ignore. Validate your own feelings. Validate that person's emotions about being disappointed. It's important to almost sit in those feelings, talk about those feelings, verbalize them, put words to them. I'm angry about it. I'm sad about it. Or whatever else those feelings are. Because that's important and it's hard to do. It's really hard, especially the disappointment when you're feeling it about yourself, even if you're feeling it about somebody you care about. It's hard to, sit in it. It's hard to verbalize it. Because that pain, any kind of pain, you verbalize it, you sit in it, you talk about it, it makes it worse. But validating it makes it easier to deal with it. You're not going to give it a time limit. You're going to go through the feelings. You're going to go through those emotions. You're not going to push them away. You're not going to just, put kind of blinders on it. You're going to let yourself feel it. Disappointment is not going to become an embarrassing thing. It's not going to be, I can't never fail. People can never hurt me. This can never go wrong. It's okay that this happened to me. It's okay that these things happen. So let yourself experience it. Let it happen to you. Let it completely happen to you. And that's going to be a very important thing. That's the thing that we seem to kind of miss. We want to hurry up and just run through it. We don't want to face it completely. We kind of live in denial of things that disappoint us, things that go wrong in our lives. And we don't want to. And we'll talk about taking responsibility in a minute because that's going to be a kind of a longer part to it. But, it's going to be important to first accept it. If we're not fully understanding that this has happened and I have feelings about it and it is okay to have feelings about it. Whatever those feelings are, because feelings are never right or wrong. Feelings are just feelings and it's okay to have all sorts of feelings. How you express those feelings, who you express them to, the behaviors you adopt while you're expressing those things are important. But feelings themselves, there's nothing wrong with that. Though they are actually important. They actually should be expressed. So that's going to be an important point. Now, while you are tolerating that disappointment, we're talking about, validating your feelings of disappointment and going through all of those feelings. That's basically tolerating it, right? You're not enjoying the process of it. first of all, know that it's going to take you time. There's not going to be, you can't just be like, okay, I'm giving myself a month. I have to be over it in a month. I have to be okay with all this in a month. No, of course, there's going to be, you have your own process. Everybody has their own process of how long they take to go through and kind of accept what's happening. So you give yourself whatever time that it takes you. Don't put a timer on it. Don't, put a number on it or days on it or weeks or months on it. You're going to go through the process as you're going to go through it. And while you're doing it, be kind to yourself. Find activities and find things that you like to do that help you just take care of yourself. Activities that, self-care strategies and activities that will soothe you, maybe make your, develop your connection with Allah, if that is something that will help you. Some people, yoga and meditation helps them. Some people, if you're developing your connection with Allah, then, read Quran more or whatever else you can do to have that connection. But just take care of yourself. Distract yourself with other healthy activities, in other healthy ways. But also keep that in mind, that your priority is to make sure that you have accepted that this was a disappointment. And it's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to have those feelings. Now again, we're going to come back to that point. When you have done all this and you have accepted that this was a disappointment and it happened, it's done. We're going to pick ourselves up. We're going to maybe try the same thing again, or we're going to do something else. Because this particular thing didn't work, right? But this time, again, when we do it, we're going to check our expectations. See, this is where things go wrong. Is that we are not keeping a big picture in mind, right? And we are not again, checking our expectations. We want certain things from life, right? So then, if this is where we want to be in life, and to achieve it, we have to go through all these steps. And if we're on this step, we can't expect the result for the first time. If we want to be on this step, we can't expect the result without even working, getting all of the, going through all of the steps. We can't expect the result for the first time to be here. If this is the first step, we can't expect to be here. And that's the problem with us. On the first try, we want to not just meet the expectation, but exceed the expectation. And not in terms of we have tried, we have worked, we have done everything we need to do. Not on those bases. And I'm not talking about every single person. I'm talking about most people, or a lot of the people. That the kind of world that we live in now. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. We feel that we can exceed expectation, and then when we don't exceed expectation, then we feel like of course, we are disappointed. And then we don't want to go back and analyze what went wrong, and then go back to the big picture, like, okay, well, this was the focus, and we needed to keep the big picture in mind and realize that there's a lot of work that needs to be put in from here to here. Now, here's what I mean by the big picture. We are not focused on ourselves. We're more focused on the world outside. If this person can do it, if that person can do it, if that person can do it, I can do it. And I don't need to start from here. And I'm sorry, I know that we give our kids examples of this person or that person. And, this person didn't even go to school and they were able to do it. And this person can. I am so against that. We have absolutely different life different baggages, different, everybody has their own level of intelligence. Everybody's intelligent. That's not in question. What's in question is that everybody is raised differently. Everybody has different, not abilities, skills, but then opportunities, ways of life, where they grew up, how they grew up, again, baggage, and what was paid attention to as they were growing up, what was given to them, what wasn't given to them. So if you keep all of that, if you put all of that together, you cannot compare one person to another. You cannot say to a child, look, if you put your mind to it, you can be like Steve Jobs or you can be like Einstein. No, this is not, of course, they can be as smart. They can develop, they can, discover things or invent things or whatnot. That's not the point. But the point is to say, to give them that false hope that if they don't do they don't complete certain steps in life, they can be like a certain person. So that kind of comparison, where you can skip certain things or you can go through certain steps and be like a certain person, those comparisons, I feel like, are damaging. Because you can't compare two different people from two different sets of lives and different environments and then tell them that if you do the exact same thing, you will become two same people. That doesn't happen. So then when you do that and people start to skip steps, that's what also causes disappointment a lot of times. So we then start to depend on, all right, so I can get this because this person did this and they got this. मैं भी ये चीज़ कर सकती हूँ because फला ने ये चीज़ की थी और उसको ये चीज़ मिल गई. And now it happens more क्योंकि हमारे सामने है बहुत सारी चीज़ें. दूसरे लोगों की achievements, दूसरे लोगों ने क्या किया. और अब सोशल मीडिया की वजह से this happens a lot कि हम दूसरों को देखते हैं कि फला ने ये अचीव कर लिया, फला ने ये अचीव कर लिया, फला ने ये अचीव कर लिया. And we end up thinking कि अगर हम भी ये कर लें तो हम भी ये चीज़ें अचीव कर सकते हैं. Because, well, they did it. Again, we don't recognize or realize कि उनके जो set of circumstances हैं, उनकी जो lifestyle है, उनकी even abilities हैं, जो बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जो हमसे match नहीं करती. So, it's not always possible that you will have the exact same achievements, even if you put in all the things into what you're doing, जो कि वो आपको बता रहे. On social media, on TV, on whatever medium that you're seeing it on. You're not going to have the same exact achievement. And then when you don't get that kind of achievement and that level of whatever you're looking for, then of course you're disappointed. And then you don't understand where did it go wrong, right? Because you did everything that they were doing. So where did it go wrong? And it could be an amazing learning experience, or it could just be disappointment after disappointment because you don't understand what happened. So another thing would be to not compare yourself to other people. And not to do this whole thing of, okay, well, this person is doing this and this person is doing that. And that, we all know, causes a whole lot of disappointment and a whole lot of issues in ourselves. Because we're feeling like we can't compete with other people. Right? And then we feel like, but we're doing everything they're doing. Why can't we be like them? Why can't we do everything or achieve everything that they're achieving? Because we're not them. Because our life and what we have gained for ourselves and our capabilities in our head, we may be better at something else. But we are putting our efforts in something that is not for us. And that could be one of the reasons. There are many other reasons. And again, same thing actually applies. I want to say one more thing about this. Same thing applies to relationships. Whatever kind of relationship you want to look at. You want to look at a romantic relationship, you want to look at family relationships, and you want to look at any relationship. There's a lesson in every disappointment, right? There's a lesson in every disappointment. People will disappoint you. Relationships will definitely disappoint you. Hopefully not, permanently. But the relationships, and anytime there's a down, and anytime there's a dip in a relationship, anytime there's a disappointment, make that a learning lesson, a lesson for you, and always do that thing where you regroup, refocus, and then come back up. Do that time. Take that time where you listen to yourself, listen to your feelings, name your feelings, think about how you're feeling, what really happened in this moment, and then come back up from that, and then talk about it and rebuild, rethink and rebuild. And that's always very, very important in relationships, because again, lower your expectations, manage expectations when it comes to people as well, because people will be coming from a particular mindset. Not everybody comes in a relationship, no matter what kind of relationship it is, not everybody is coming into a relationship wanting to hurt you, right? So they're coming into a relationship wanting to have, a bond with you, wanting to have an understanding with you. And you're going into the relationship thinking the same thing. You're going into a relationship wanting to have a bond with them. So where do things go wrong? When either party or both parties start to expect certain things. And what does that mean? Expect certain things. I keep saying this word, expect, or manage your expectations. What does that mean? When you are thinking, okay, so if it's my spouse, she or he needs to do this and this and this and this and this. These are their responsibilities, right? So you've named out or mapped out like 10 things that you feel like they have to do for you. But they don't have that in their head. They have 10 things that they have mapped out for you. But they do have something in their head that they feel that they should be doing for you. But what they have mapped out is completely different from what you have mapped out. So but you haven't told them, and they haven't told you. They're doing the things that they have mapped out in their head. तो वो जो समझ रहे हैं कि उन्हें करना चाहिए आपके लिए, they're doing it. और आप जो समझ रहे हैं आपको करना चाहिए, वो आप कर रहे हैं. But when they don't do what you think they should do, you are disappointed. You think, oh, but my wife is supposed to wake up and make nashta for you. And you're thinking, as a wife, well, if he wants me to make nashta for me, I will make it for him. But he's not asking, so he must not want it. However, you do cook and you do serve, and then you sit down and have dinner with him, and you feel like this is a part of my responsibility and I'm doing it. You see? But this is an unspoken thing that he feels like you should already know. And you feel like he should ask if he wants it. And if he does want it, he will ask me and I'll do it. So these things then become disappointments, and there's no need for that. So manage your expectations. Lower your expectations. Talk about it when you feel like, okay, this is making me sad, or this is frustrating me, whatever it may be. First, deal with that. Deal with it, and then come to the table to discuss it. And this goes into any kind of relationship. This goes into a work relationship, sibling relationship, parent and child relationship, whatever it may be. You need to go through these processes. And then you also have to see, is that person capable? Right? If you're in a work relationship, you have to see, is this person capable of doing this? The things that I'm asking them? I can ask them to do it, but they don't seem to be doing it. So are they capable of it? Am I asking too much? Again, that comes into managing expectation, right? Are they capable? Am I asking for too much? So a lot of it has to do with, okay, you're going to talk, but then along with that, build the understanding with that person. Get to know the person, build understanding, build your boundaries, build, all of those things that you need to do before you get to the point of, all right, this person is just a total disappointment, before you get to that point. Okay, so this was about people. So disappointment, and we'll talk about it in a minute, why it's so important to talk about being disappointed and why it's so important to keep why it's so important to keep this in our heads and discuss this thing, because disappointment can turn into bigger issues. Disappointing ourselves. This is obviously an extremely painful part of the process, because if we're disappointed in ourselves, then we feel it can turn into bigger mental health issues, and it can turn into bigger problems. And to begin with, it's extremely painful and it's extremely sad. We feel like we failed somewhere. Of course, we feel like we've let others down, and again, that feeling that comes from that stems from a feeling of not being enough, a feeling of not being enough for our family, not being enough for the people around us. So we try to do more, and then we still feel like we haven't done enough. And those of you who felt the feeling of disappointing your own self, I know you can relate to that. I know you can relate to the feeling of not being enough for yourself, which really is a projection of not being enough for the people around you. So here are some of the reasons that makes you feel like you are a disappointment. People who are perfectionists. If you're not perfect in your mind, then you feel like you're a disappointment to yourself, mostly to yourself, because you feel like you have failed other people around you. You're not good enough if you're not perfect. People who are people pleasers, who want to make others happy, then feel if they have not made other people happy, if they have not done everything that other people want them to, then they feel disappointed in themselves. People who get a lot of guilt from their family, for different reasons, they have a lot of, issues with disappointment. Like they feel disappointed in themselves every time they get a guilt trip, every time they do things that would trigger guilt in them. They do feel disappointed. People who are compared with their siblings or cousins or whoever, of course, feel like they're a disappointment to their family, to whoever their guardians. So they also feel a lot of disappointment in themselves. And we already talked about the fact that if others will disappoint you, just take it as a learning experience. We talked about how to deal with that. We talked some ways on how we can move forward and how we can try to help ourselves and how to come down from it. And sometimes all of these things are not going to work. Talking to people, trying to make them understand or seeing their point of view, none of it will work. Then you're just going to have to validate yourself, validate your feelings, understand how these things work, and take it as a challenge, take it as a learning experience. Now, why is it important to deal with the disappointments? Why is it important to learn how to deal with disappointment? Learn how to focus on understanding your feelings and not just like brushing them aside and not just moving on from it. Why is all of that so important? It's important because if you're not doing that, if you're not trying to understand why you're feeling a certain way and why you're so disappointed at certain times, at certain feelings and certain occasions, it's because you will then start to resent either the people around you or the things that are happening to you, or you will start to resent yourself in all of this. And if you are resenting yourself and feeling resentment towards other people, towards the world itself, there are a couple of things that are signals of resentment. You feel that you're the only one who's the target of all of these unhappy things, that you're the only one who feels sad, you're the only one who gets attacked by other people or has disappointments after disappointments in their lives. You're the only one who feels and faces these kinds of things. And then a lot of the people will just kind of pull themselves away from family and friends and just kind of become, avoidant. Like we talked about, they kind of avoid and kind of pull away. They pull more and more away from people. Some people will start numbing themselves with drugs and alcohol and things like that. And believe it or not, it happens a lot in all culture too. ये सिर्फ वो बात नहीं है कि दूसरे cultures में होती है, हमारे cultures में drugs का especially काफी issue हो जाता है. So, what are the things that we can do to kind of help ourselves not to get to that point? Is one thing is to take responsibility. Again, taking responsibility doesn't mean that you blame yourself. That does not mean that. Anything bad that happens is not our fault. Of course, any disappointment, anything that goes wrong is not our fault. But you take responsibility in fixing it for yourself. Because whether ये हमारी गलती है या नहीं है, अब it's happened. Now you need to get to first very kindly and very lovingly bring yourself to understand that it's happened. And I'm the one who has to pick up the pieces, figure out how to maneuver things around me, and understand my emotions, validate my emotions, and then try to fix everything. Try to fix things around me. Of course, get help from people. And that's going to be the most important thing, is get help from other people. Keep people who care about you around you. Keep people who are ready to help you around you. And get help from outside resources. Don't let yourself be alone. Taking responsibility doesn't mean that you make yourself alone, that you become lonely. Absolutely not. That actually is the opposite of taking responsibility. That will actually create more resentment, because that whole idea of I'm the only one that this happens to and I'm alone in the world becomes actually true then. So don't do that to yourself. And don't distract from your emotions. So these are things to stay away from. Don't distract from your emotions. Don't, isolate yourself from other people. Don't overthink. Don't constantly overthink on what's happened. When we say that, think about your emotions and validate your emotions, doesn't mean that you go into overthinking. You go just, repeat incidents and ideas and things that have happened over and over in your head. That's not what it means. You can get help from a professional in order to learn how to deal with your feelings. That would probably be a better way to handle it. Don't start to overwork or distract yourselves in negative ways. There are positive ways to distract yourself, and then there are negative ways to distract yourself. Now I want to come to the thing that I wanted to actually talk about, that we are right now. If you guys have any questions or comments, please do. Please do let me know, because these were some basic things that we were talking about. Now I want to focus more on our modern disappointments. and the everyday things that we're dealing with right now. We see the world around us and we see what's happening on a larger level in the world. And it is very, very disappointing. We've talked about our personal life. We've talked about the world and I mean, the world in the sense of our own world, our lives. And we've talked about how to handle disappointment in that. But what about the incidents? What about around the world where life is being lost, where people are dying every day? What about that kind of disappointment where we see that and then we get up and we help and we help and we help? And then there comes a time where it's like, we've done so much and nothing seems to help. Nothing seems to change anything. What about that? Can we apply any of the things that we've talked about here in that scenario? And then feelings like, one person can't change anything. I've done so much. Other people around me have done so much. And nothing is changing. In fact, worse and worse is happening. And then something like what's happened in Bangladesh happens and you're like, wait. Can things change? So you rethink that whole idea of constant disappointment around the world. Constant pain and suffering. And us feeling like there is nothing that we can do that can change this. So the reason I wanted to explain disappointment in terms of psychology and want to explain how to deal with disappointment is this. That disappointment will happen. And that's a very natural thing. Sometimes it's not something physical. It's not like you applied for a job and you didn't get the job and then you're facing disappointment and then you have to validate your feelings. Sometimes it's things like what's happening in Palestine, that you are trying to help these people and there's nothing for you to show for it. You're helping, and then things keep getting worse and worse and worse and you have nothing tangible to show for it. And you're tired and you're exhausted and you're like, you know what? Maybe I just need a break. Or maybe nothing's going to change and I'm just going to stop. And you just say it in your head in a way that you don't even realize that you've said it to yourself. And then what's next? What do we do next? We avoid and we ignore because we don't want to validate those feelings of helplessness, hopelessness, not wanting to acknowledge, sadness, and extreme pain for those people, which are all legitimate feelings. So to avoid those feelings, we completely avoid the topic. We avoid looking at videos and pictures. We avoid talking to people about it. We avoid going to events. And we just put it out of our minds. And it's not because we don't care. It's because it's all too painful and we've tried so hard. And what can we change? Because we have been trying for the past 8, 9, 10, 11 months. And nothing's changed. It's actually gotten worse. And then our guilt. And then what happens after that? The avoidance. And the ignoring. And the shoving it under the rug. And not talking about it. Brings up all the guilt. What is that? Somebody else's one. Sorry. Brings up the guilt of not doing anything about it. And then the guilt brings up the disappointment that we feel in ourselves. And then that cycle of guilt and disappointment and guilt of disappointment keeps, and then avoidance and ignoring and guilt and disappointment, that whole continues. So you know what is what is a better thing for us to do is to acknowledge that we are sad, we are in pain, and we are exhausted. And we feel like there is no way out of this. And these are all legitimate feelings. And everybody right now is feeling it. Anybody who cares about Palestine, anybody who cares about the people, anybody who cares about those children, everyone is feeling it. And it's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that you're feeling like nothing you do helps. And yes, a lot of us have depleted our resources for now. So do the least that you can do. That is okay too. And it's okay to feel hurt when you see those images, talk to the people there. It's okay to feel hurt. And it's okay to feel a little bit guilty that you're not doing enough or can't do enough. But acknowledge all of that. Even acknowledge it to them. It is okay to acknowledge it to even them. It's good for them to hear that there are people who care so much, but people are not helping them because they don't want to, but they are not because they're not able to. So there's nothing wrong with all of that. There's nothing wrong with being honest with ourselves, with being honest with others. So if you don't have the money, that is okay. You can still spread the word. You can still spread events. If it's a fundraiser, that's okay. You can go. And you can still show solidarity. You can still be there. You can still help organize in ways without, having to spend money. You can do other things. We don't have to hide from the issue. Yes, it is painful, but that's where the work comes in. Nothing worth doing in life is free of pain, free of difficulty. So if that is why you're running away, then let's try to not do that, and let's try to be a little bit stronger. And yeah, some of us are exhausted because it's hard to watch those images and it's hard to be in it all the time. So it's okay to take a break. It's okay to step away. I know that a lot of the people give this excuse, but say that these people who are in it don't have the opportunity or don't have a chance to step away from it. And how dare you say that? And how can we just say, step away? But the thing is, we're not stepping away because we don't care or we are trying to be careless or ruthless or anything of that sort. Everybody has their own lives to live. And alhamdulillah, Allah has given us an opportunity to help them. He's put us in a different situation, in a different place, so we could help, so we could do more. So if we have the opportunity to do more, then why not use our full potential to do more for these people? And to be able to use our full potential, we do need to take breaks. We do need to come back rejuvenated, rested, with fresh ideas, with better resources, and, better mental health. And of course, we do have to take care of our families, of ourselves, and of our, whoever else is around us. And that is important. And that is definitely should be done. So I feel like all of that is going to happen if we acknowledge our feelings. If we acknowledge that we're tired, if we acknowledge that it's all overwhelming, if we acknowledge that we need to take breaks every now and again, if we acknowledge that, I'm out of money now, I'm going to, stop with this, but I'm going to help in this way or that way, and I'm going to mobilize people now, I'm just going to post more and more, and that's what I can do for now, or I'm going to collaborate with this person or that person, and that will be my contribution. Or if you're out of ideas, talk to people who can give you ideas, talk to people who can help you with that. And Palestine is just one avenue where you can help. There are many other people. There are many other ways to help. There are many other countries that you can help. There's so much more that can be done, right? So the point is that our world is going to be full of disappointments and new types of disappointments, new ways to, bring us down. But we need to manage and know that we can't give up. Just because something becomes hard in a new way doesn't mean that we give up. It just means that we find new ways. First of all, acknowledge our feelings every single time. Just be open and say, yeah, this is hard and this is making me feel this way. And now, how do I deal with it? Find ways. Find ways. Sit down and find ways to deal with it. There's nothing that is put on this earth that we cannot deal with. Allah will not put a burden on us that we cannot deal with. Things will not get out of control. Just break that cycle of thinking that I've done something wrong. It is my fault. Because anytime you get stuck in that cycle, guilt comes in and then we lose control. Just don't get in that cycle. Don't let yourself lose control of that. Your emotion. The main thing is the emotion. If you're in control of your emotions, if you're not avoiding, neglecting, denying, if that's not happening, if you are in control of, yeah, I'm feeling bad about it. I'm sad. I'm angry at this situation. But I can get past it. I can learn from this and I can get past it. If you can acknowledge that and you don't go towards resentment, then you're going to be okay. You'll still make mistakes. We'll still go through this cycle of, okay, well, this time it didn't work out, and then again, and then this time didn't work out. Eventually, you will learn, though, as long as you're ready to take responsibility in terms of, I'm trying, and it's not working out. All right, I'm trying again. That's what responsibility is. It doesn't mean to do it alone, but it just means to keep trying. And our biggest challenge today and these days is social media in terms of everybody trying to show off. Not everybody, a lot of people trying to show off what they've done and what they've achieved or what they are doing or what they might do. So we have to also remember that not everybody who is showing us what they've done and how much they've done are really doing that much. That not everybody, first of all, may have done all those things. Or we don't know how much time, they have actually taken to achieve that. So it may look like, oh, they've got it all figured out. We don't know how much time they've actually taken. So that might be, oh, that's my goal. I want to be here. But we don't know how much time they've taken to actually get there. We don't know how long it's taken them. We don't know have they actually even achieved that? Are they just saying that? Is it something that really has happened? So there's a lot of unknowns. Like my son the other day, he was like, I want to be a YouTuber. And I was like, why do you want to be a YouTuber? It's like, because they're really rich. So what is his criteria? He's a kid right now, so it's fine. But what is his criteria? It's a very small example. What is his criteria of rich? Right? He's living a very comfortable life. And why does he want to be rich? So there is no, just because he sees the fun things happening and they're just throwing money around and doing interesting things, just because of that, he feels he wants to be something. And just like a year ago, before he discovered the great world of YouTube, he wanted to be an astronaut. So I'm just saying that the comparison and the glamour of social media just kind of gives us this, instant disappointment, this instant this instant kind of, like, it makes us feel like, oh, we cannot be at this standard, and we cannot be at this, or if you try to jump too much too far. So then that causes too much disappointment too soon, too fast. So I feel that's one of the reasons that we feel like we are facing disappointment, too much disappointment in this, this world that we are in this kind of environment, in this kind of world. So I just feel that we need to kind of handle that a little bit better. And not that I'm not against social media, because, I can't be against social media. Don't quit it altogether. But I do feel that we need to, the comparison thing, when we compare, when we are taught to compare, that this person is better than you because of this, and that person is better than you because of that, or this, or whatever, then we bring that to everything. Anybody who looks like they're richer because of a certain thing, anybody who looks like they've done better because of that thing or this thing, we feel like, okay, if we did the exact same thing, we could achieve this. Again, I was saying the same thing earlier as well. But because there's so much of it coming at us on social media, that it is very easy to take it upon yourself that I can do this exact same thing and achieve this exact same, whatever benefit that they're getting from it. But it's really not that simple. And it's hard to understand that when you're in that phase of life where you're like, I can do this and I can do that. It's harder to understand that. And it's harder to maneuver it in that way where you take it well when it doesn't work out. Or you're just like, oh, okay. Because you're seeing people succeed. And those people are not, again, that's the part to understand. Those people are not putting an accurate picture of how they've achieved it. Or they may not even have achieved it. Many, many times they haven't achieved it. Many times they're just literally faking it. I hate saying this, but literally faking it for their own benefit, just because they want the world to see, because they have not, I'll say it, they have not validated their own feelings. They have not accepted their feelings because they're afraid to accept their disappointment, what they call failure. Because not getting something you want once or twice in life is not a failure. These are just disappointments that you will get over time in life. But because they're not ready to accept those emotions, because they're not ready to accept, what's happened to them and validate their own feelings, they will just pretend that everything that they're doing is a success. Everything that they're doing, they've gotten. They've had it. They've gotten it. So they will have to show it to you that way. They will have to present it to you in that way. So when they present it to you in that way, and they don't ever show you or the world that they have ever had a disappointment, or that anything has gone wrong ever in their life, and when you see that, and you've had disappointments, things have gone wrong in your life, as they do in everybody's life, then it is difficult for you to perceive that, okay, this is a normal thing, that things are going wrong in my life. So that's why I feel that social media kind of, that's why I feel the modern day disappointments are a little bit different, because we have a different perception of, okay, nothing should go wrong. If something is going wrong, that's abnormal, because people in their social media world don't show us those kinds of things. Okay, Shadab is saying that I was just thinking about how social media's glamour can be unhealthy and saw your live. Yeah, that we were actually talking about disappointments and talking about how this is one of the reasons that disappointments hit us harder, that we feel the effect of disappointments more than we probably did 10, 15 years ago, because everybody's showing their perfect life. And even though they feel disappointments, they have disappointments, but because they're seeing their other people's perfect life, a little bit of disappointment, which is very, very common, would, hurt, feels a lot bigger to us than anyone else than it would 5, 10, 15 years ago. All right. Seems like this would be it for today. If anybody has any questions or comments, let me know. Otherwise, we will end this now. And I will talk to you guys next week. And see you. See you next week. In the middle, we might have an event or so. Something. But yeah. Otherwise, have a good night, good day, good evening, and Allah Hafiz.